Hello! Welcome to another episode of Mega Manga Mondays. Today we are talking about My Hero Academia chapter 351 titled The Two Flashers. The Two Flash Fires. This it wasn't a huge departure from it's not about flashers, I promise. I am Jason Hahn, and I am a Screen Rant writer who writes video game news and loves manga. And I'm very excited to talk about the newest chapter of My Hero Academia today with my fellow Screen Rant writers. I've got a couple buddies who write comics news and write all kinds of really cool articles. Check it out on Screen Rant. But I'm going to go ahead and let them introduce themselves before I jump in. Before we start, Steven, you want to go?
Yep. My name is Steven. I'm a comics writer for Screen Rant. A little over a year now, or when I started, I forgot. But it's been a good time. Mostly write about manga and Shonen Jump, but also cover other subjects. Actually, just did some begging to do a TV, like a write up for the TV section of Screen Rant. So that was fun because it had to do with Sonic. So
Oh, that worked out, huh? That's
Oh,
cool.
good. Good, man.
Yeah,
That's
well-
exciting.
Nice.
yeah, more Sonic stuff. So that's good.
Everyone needs more Sonic stuff. All right, how about you, Ben?
Yeah, I'm Ben. I'm also a comics and manga writer at Screen Rant. Been working here a bit less than Steven, but for a couple months now. Um,
But writing
And-
awesome articles, much
thank
better
you.
than mine. Love them.
I mean, I feel that way about all of your articles too. Like, I don't know. This may be a digression, but I feel like everyone at Screen Rant is just incredibly great, and uh, everyone's articles just blow me out of the water. So,
Good game. Good game.
but yeah.
All right, how about you, Carlyle?
Hey, yep. I'm Carlyle Edminson. I've been working on Screen Man comics for a little over a year, and I mostly write about manga, particularly My Hero Academia, One Punch, JoJo, and very, very excited for this chapter today. So let's get into it.
Yeah, absolutely. Great idea. Yeah, this chapter kind of, it was everything I needed this fight to be. Like, I felt like in previous discussions I've talked about how Shoto kind of peaked for me at some point way back when he was kind of first introduced as this Deku fight, and I really feel like these last couple chapters especially have finally gotten into his true feelings and the drama with his family and all that stuff. But really, the thing that I was most excited about, and it's something that I've had in my head a little bit, is just like if Shoto is able to combine, his ice and fire powers to create something new, not just trying to chase the highest accomplishment his father hit with the flash fire fist, but something new entirely. And we got that. Not to jump ahead to like the very end of the chapter, but it was really, really, really satisfying to see Shoto evolve finally. Because I just feel like he's been stagnant most of the series, even though he's one of the more popular characters in the entire show, or manga, however you want to refer to it. But I really love the character development there, and just getting to see the guy who's usually quiet and not really talking about his feelings a whole lot just kind of bear it all. And it's finally the perfect moment for him to lay it all out there. And the art and the action and everything was just phenomenal in this chapter. It was all stuff I've needed this arc to be. But yeah, I just needed to get that off my chest. How about you guys? What was some stuff that you are anxious to talk about here?
I will go last since
All right.
I just have sad stuff to say. So let's keep this hype going.
Well, I guess I can talk on, Shoto's final attack, the Flash Fire Fist Phosphor, because I did some research before hopping into this conversation. Because I was like, I should look into phosphorus to see if there's anything, deeper to this name
Oh, cool.
than just, yeah. I mean, I didn't find much, and I'm not like a chemistry guy, so.
Yeah.
Um, But so apparently, like the type of phosphorus that ignites just by exposure to air is called white phosphorus. So, and if you notice, Shoto's like punching with his right fist, his ice side. So I'm imagining that this attack is going to look like very sort of like it's just white flame or something.
Yeah, I'm very
When you
excited to
punch.
see it colored and animated just because it's got to be something different and looking cool. And I honestly did the same thing. I Googled, I was like, I know phosphorus and all that stuff, but I too am not a chemistry guy. Yeah, I didn't find a lot of results other than like phosphorus kind of has like a neon glow to it. Um,
Yes. They actually that just reminded me. They use that in CSI stuff. It helps with exposing blood. It makes blood glow. They use phosphorus. I just realized that when you said that.
okay.
Which would make this attack very interesting to watch in action.
As I recall,
This
phosphorus
major
also is
damage.
very, very bright. So that's probably part of the intent here is to convey like this is just so bright that you can barely look at it. That's how much power we're directing into this punch.
Yeah, and as much as I'd like to say that this is the end of the fight because it just feels like a dramatic, high. Um, in classic final anime arcs, that Dabi's most likely going to get up and that kind of thing, but it looks and sounds so cool, and I'm really surprised that how well. First of all, Dobby's tactics here were awesome. I really liked the fake out and the hell spider technique. Again, the guy behind My Hero Academia, just he's amazing at shading and scale, and especially with this hell spider attack. uh, they even mentioned that it was a move that his father Endeavor has done. It seems like Dobby's kind of just doing his own rendition of Endeavor's attacks, sort of like just an evil Endeavor. And I kind of like that parallel that they're doing, rather than Dobby being like, yeah, you know what, I made all my own attacks because I am a well-rounded individual with my own personality. No, instead he's just like, no, I'm gonna make all these attacks to say I hate you, Dad. Is kind of how it feels. But Shoto took some pretty solid hits, and it kind of made me go back to thinking of his training in the forest. There was one moment, or there's a part where they show where he's like sitting in a cauldron, and he's just consistently like turning his fire all the way on, and then turning his ice all the way on, and just like
Oh yeah.
trying to
Right.
trying to make it so he's better at adapting to each one of them. And that was perfect training for this exact fight. So it's kind of brilliant. It made me think back to like, well, of course he's able to like instantly change his temperature to like neutralize the heat. And it also, it just, as Shoto says in his conversation with Endeavor, which called it, I said we needed that scene. And of course Shoto was telling his dad, he's like, I'm really the perfect person to fight him, and Dad, Endeavor, you're the best person to take on All For One right now. So we got only a few panels of that conversation, but it was a very needed conversation because exactly how Dobby said earlier, we were like, how is this okay that Endeavor's off doing his thing and he's leaving his youngest son to take care of this mass murderer family drama type stuff? And it was all laid out. It all makes sense. And I don't think it could have come together easily or more easy.
I actually think, I mean, it just makes Endeavor, to me, it makes Endeavor look worse. like they're trying to explain it. Like, I mean, I get like that makes sense. Shoto saying, you're the best person to fight All For One, so I have to fight Dabi. But even then, if like after everything that Endeavor has gone through, like those crazy scenes where he's crying and apologizing, he's trying to get by all this. He should have still said, "No, this is my responsibility." I don't know. Maybe it makes him. It shows that he's that he's still a greater hero than he is a father. But if we were going to see him like come across as a better father figure who finally has learned from his mistakes, then he would be like, I don't care, Shoto. I am dealing with your brother. I mean, it works narratively. Like it made sense. Like I've been saying before, like if they were going to fight separately, then it made sense for Dabi to fight Shoto first, since we were all waiting for the Endeavor Dabi battle. So I mean, it makes sense, but I mean, to me, it makes him seem worse. Like it's like, who cares if your son said, "I'm gonna battle him"? It's like, no, you shouldn't battle him. I should. But that's just.
Yeah, it is kind of strange that the conversation just ended there. Like his dad did kind of. Pardon me. His dad did kind of just like, okay, well, I guess I guess we'll go ahead and let you do that. Yeah. Well, it makes me think. I mean, we have twice his ability of copy, where he can, copy somebody else and become somebody else, and essentially make like a shadow clone, a one-hit double of somebody. Do we have anybody else on the hero side that has that kind of power? Like, can Endeavor be at two places at once right now?
Oh, good question.
I don't think so, but I could be wrong. I mean, we have the one kid who is currently fighting Shigaraki.
There is. Well, isn't that girl from the other school, the one that what was her? I can't remember her name.
Oh,
but
was
she
it
can
Cammy?
change forms. The one who's like portrayed all hot, like she's the hot girl.
Yeah, she's like asking for all the dudes' numbers and stuff. The one that Toga took over.
Yeah. She's kind of like Himiko, but not as freaky.
Yeah, can she copy powers as well?
Yeah, I thought that her thing was like a mind control with like pheromone sort of thing, kind of like Midnight. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, it's been so long, I don't 100% remember. And there's
we have not seen them in a while.
Yeah, exactly. Cammy.
Amy Tsushima.
Yeah.
Kami?
Yeah, Kami or Kami or. But yeah,
there she is. Yeah, the hot one. Okay.
Yeah, the leather girl who was asking for all the guys' phone numbers. She was pretty much the exact character that all very young My Hero Academia fans wish they knew. But,
I think you're right, Carlyle.
Yeah,
you were right. Where is it?
Well, we have the whole wrench of her powers too. Of Toga took over her, so there's not really. I could be wrong on this, but it's not really clear what her powers are and what Toga's powers were, right?
There was an arc where she came back.
In the anime, she's there with the kids when they're doing their retesting for their licenses.
Oh, right. Because she wasn't there to take the test, actually, so they gave her another chance.
Yeah.
Here we go. So the quirk allows the user to create both visual and auditory illusions for a short period of time, so she can create the impression. Yeah, that's why it says that the quirk is similar to hologram. So it's like she can't. So she can. So I guess she can make it seem like that Endeavor is there, but she's somewhere else, type of thing. But I don't know. I mean, it seems like what we have right now is that her illusions eventually dissipate and they don't last that long. So,
wow, they did the same power. They did the same power in the first movie too, or was it the second movie? Girl had like hallucination powers. Movie. Yeah. So yeah, I think those students and 1B students are going to, show up again at some point. I would love for the other school to show up, especially the wind guy. I forgot his name, but he was one of my favorite characters.
The guy who was like crazy military-like, but very
polite,
over the top. Yeah.
Yeah, he was awesome. I hope he comes back because he was pretty tough. I mean, he definitely his power has a lot of utility.
Inasa, he was Todoroki's like rival dude.
Yeah, because it wasn't his whole thing. Like he wanted to get back at Todoroki because Endeavor like didn't shake his hand or something when he was a kid. Something silly like that. But yeah, I mean, as much as we would love to see Endeavor and Dabi eventually fight, I mean, the only way that we can really have that is if Shoto fails, or if Dabi wins. But I don't see Dabi just knocking Shoto out. like Dabi is clearly a murderous maniac. I don't see him just like leaving Shoto there to, after he's passed out. I definitely see Dabi like not leaving and progressing until he turns everyone to ash.
Yeah.
And I don't see
That'd
that
be
happening.
unfortunate. Oh no. That would be such a buzz killer for me, because it's like that's what all of this has been building towards. Like everyone in the family has been able to confront Endeavor, and those moments for me like have been like peak My Hero for me. And it's like the person that was hurt the most besides his wife, who's hurt the most by Endeavor, was Dabi. Like they need to see each other. Like if that doesn't happen, I'm gonna like probably flip my laptop or something.
Yeah.
It really seems like it's probably not going to happen though, based on just that last line that Shoto gives, where he's like, "Just aim all your rage at us, not Endeavor. Don't have your confrontation with Endeavor. Just work it all out here with me."
Oh, I took that as don't put it towards innocent lives, put it towards me and Endeavor. Like
Oh
the
well, that
family.
too, but but still, I don't think it's. I think Shoto's trying to take it all on himself in this fight here. But yeah, I think you're definitely right about the innocent lives part as well. But yeah, I don't think Dabi's gonna. I don't think he's gonna get to confront Endeavor, at least in battle. Maybe after the battle, there would be a sort of epilogue.
Yeah, I was gonna say like perfect ending. Shoto knocks out Dabi, and then while in jail, Endeavor goes to talk to him, and they have a nice little cup of tea hashtag. They hash it out over words that way. But that would be the cleanest ending, and I'm kind of hoping that we get something a little bit more dramatic than that. But Carlyle, what was some stuff that really stuck out for you in this chapter?
Yeah, this was definitely an interesting chapter. I always am comparing kind of this horrific embodiment of Dabi's power to the bad guy in Vigilantes. I don't want to get into Vigilantes too much. Just
It's
like
still
burning
cool.
up.
I like hearing it.
Yeah, that's one of those series I wish I had time to read. I think once I get caught up on Black Clover, that might be the one I start, but there's probably two others in my head that I'm not thinking about right now.
It will be done very soon, so.
Oh, really? Are they
I
wrapping
would be
that up?
surprised if there's more than 2 or 3 chapters left of Vigilantes.
Wow.
Oh, wow, I didn't know it was that close. Oh wow.
The battle just ended, so we had a little bit of little like epilogue tying up loose end stuff in this most recent chapter. So I think that there can't be that much more. I would be surprised if it made it into July.
Wow. So I mean, are they kind of tying up all loose ends in there? And
Yeah.
I guess for anybody who's listening who isn't familiar with the Vigilantes comic, it's a total spin-off of My Hero Academia, and it does a great job of building up the world and kind of getting into the real life ongoings of what it's like to live in a superhero society. How much it takes place before this, right? It's like a
Yes.
prequel.
It's not exactly clear, I think, how far ahead it is. It also takes place over a rather large period of time, whereas the main My Hero Academia story has been like 8 months.
Yeah.
Very short.
Yeah, these are all still freshmen.
Yeah. Yeah, so it goes on for a good while, because I think he's in high school when it starts, and he's college age by the time it's over. So
Cool.
it does cover a large period of time. There's a lot of familiar characters like Aizawa, who have some pretty significant roles. We got one last big fight scene for All Might in before this ended. So
Oh, I saw your article about that. Yeah.
That's exciting.
Yeah, so it's really good. It tackles a lot of things that the main series doesn't. We don't have any magical healing abilities, so when we get our asses kicked, it tends to hurt.
Oh, good. No old lady kisses in that one.
Nope.
Well, I guess just to get my curiosity out, the big All Might fight, is it the All for One fight that cripples All Might?
No, because that has already
okay.
happened before this started as well.
Okay,
but
okay.
it's just it's I mean, I wouldn't even really say it's that big, but like they were like, okay, we're gonna get All Might. Then that was like last July, so it took a while for him to get there. But he finally showed up, and it's probably the last time we're gonna see All Might in his big muscle form doing a battle, because obviously he's not going to be doing anything like that in the main series finale. So
Right.
that's probably it. And I think it's nice to see him in action one more time.
Well, all right. I'm more excited to get into that now. That's really surprising. I was thinking that story would keep going because this is going to wrap up, but maybe that means that they have a whole nother My Hero series in the works.
It's interesting to think about, because I wouldn't have thought that they would end at the same time, especially because Vigilantes has been releasing at a much slower pace. It's usually every 2 weeks. But it's it could probably go on, but they've made it pretty clear that this is the end. And
Very cool.
I mean, I'm happy with it as far as endings go. So.
Well, you were saying that Dabi reminds you a lot of a villain in that, but
yes.
Yeah. Well, what are some of the things about Dabi that really stand out for you compared to whoever you're talking about?
Yeah. There's a lot of I think sometimes they delay chapters of Vigilantes to match up with the main series, because there's a lot of correlation into what is being covered sometimes, and one of those things has been the big villain of that series is named Six, and he had a number of quirks that he picked up from All for One, of course, and one of these let him create a big giant like fire body, and it's like burning away everything that's left of him, to the point where there's just like a skull standing in like a flame body, and that's it.
That's dope.
Yeah.
So his skin, Dabi's skin burning away like that here, it really makes me think of that, and it's like that could get really gruesome very quickly, and it's pretty impressive. We have so many creepy characters, like obviously the main one would be Shigaraki, but like this like just burning his face off is just so brutal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's several times in this comic where I was just like, I love how brutal this is, and I really don't see how they're going to animate it without getting like a M rating or something. How I forget how they rate manga or animes now, especially, and I think I've said this in previous discussions, but during the Liberation Army arc, when Shigaraki starts kind of awakening his powers and he's able to disintegrate lots of people at the same time. There's a couple panels where just like, how are they gonna animate this? And then I heard how they animated it was just taking all the details out and making it very generic looking, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of a bummer. I'm hoping they don't do the same thing here, because this fight,
it's the same kind of problem that they had with like One Punch season 2, where we just took out a lot of the detail and kind of used that to tone it down, which is unfortunate. I mean, everybody would prefer to have more detail in art rather than less when it comes to animating a manga. But
true.
That's why Seinen is so much better. I love Seinen. Like that's why, like Berserk and stuff, they don't edit any of that stuff.
Oh yeah, Seinen.
Oh, okay.
Seinen.
Oh, is that the production company behind that kind
Oh
of stuff?
no,
like,
it's all style. So like this is shonen. So like for younger boys, and then Seinen, or however you pronounce it, is for
Seinen.
Seinen,
like
Seinen,
kind of like
like
Super
like
Saiyans?
say like like
Saiyan,
Saiyan,
yep.
except with an N in it.
Oh, all right. You guys are opening up my eyes. A whole new world.
Well, that was actually, I mean, for the longest time, especially before. I'm not going to go in for that longer, but it took me a while to get into shonen, just because I was so focused on the more mature side of things, and I'm glad I made that switch, because usually it's a little more magical in shonen land.
Yeah, I think part of it is like there's not a very thick line between the two, so sometimes you get things like it's hard to think of something like Death Note as being
Death Note is shonen. Yeah,
but it is.
Or even Chainsaw Man. I was
Or
surprised.
Fire
It was
Punch.
Fire.
Like,
yeah.
Fire
What's
Punch
that
is
doing there?
It's one of the bleakest stories I've read in any genre. Like, and it's for young boys, sure, I guess.
Well, awesome. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I just loved seeing Dabi's techniques here. I mean, and it's amazing how many punches that Shoto can take, because he takes quite the onslaught in this episode. We get some nice panels of a punch to the face, and then he bounces off and explodes, and then Dabi like grabs him by the scruff and then hits him with a full powered what's it called, jet burn, which just, it looks so cool. Like I love the panel of Dabi screaming, "You'll never make a damn thing of yourself," and just Shoto essentially bear hugging a fireball, and it looks incredible. But
Yeah.
it seems like every panel we get to see of Dabi, he's got more of his face and his skin crumbling. It's definitely giving me more. I mean, they keep on teasing. There's like, oh boy, if Dabi keeps on increasing the heat, then this is gonna happen, and then they cut over to somebody else talking. So it's I'm still wondering if that's gonna be how they beat him, is they just keep on making him exhaust himself until he burns himself up.
Here's what I think on that front.
Yeah.
This is where it makes sense to have Shoto here, because he might be able to use his ice powers to keep Dabi from burning himself up, because it seems like he's very set on doing that. Like, Dabi is fighting like he has no intention of surviving this.
Absolutely.
Which makes no sense.
Well, yeah, because he still wants to fight
Yeah.
Endeavor. So, I mean, it would be not very well thought out of him to go all out here and hurt himself to a point. But maybe that's going to be like the climax of this fight, if this isn't the end. If Dabi gets up from Flash, Fire, Fist, Phosphor, I'm wondering if that's going to be the pinnacle of the fight, where Dabi's just like, all right, well, I was kind of saving this for Dad, but you're not giving me a choice, so I'm going to have to go all out. So I'm almost wondering.
Very very solid chance that happens. That's such a common manga thing.
Yeah.
Well, the more I think about it, though, like even though it's upsetting to me, like it actually gives him like a great character flaw in regards to Dabi. I mean, and it's clear in how he's reacting. Like, he's just falling in deeper and deeper and deeper into a rage, and it's interesting that he's been saving himself to get good old Dad, burn everything down that of his dad. But it's interesting that if he actually ends up using up everything just because he's so built up into a rage, like, he'd never have a chance. Like, he sabotages himself with like not being able to meet Endeavor because like he can't control his rage with Shoto. I think that would actually be. I wouldn't like it, but I think that would be a pretty amazing way of making him a tragic figure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that would be a great way to do it.
That's great. I'm feeling better about that.
Yeah, I'm almost wondering if they both give it their all, and then Shoto passes out, and then Dabi's like, all right, now that that's done, I'm gonna go fight, and then he passes out too, and then
I can see that happening too.
That would be cool.
And then Shoto gets up and he's just like, all right, you chill, and then he just ices everybody, and then everybody's out of commission. That's how this fight ends for this area. But yeah, as the last discussion we had, I kind of came up with a theory that one major relationship that I would love to see Dabi have, or one confrontation I would love to see Dabi have, is with his mother. That'd be dope. I'm starting to feel, as time goes on, I'm starting to feel it's less and less likely.
Well, that's for the epilogue that we mentioned.
Yeah, Endeavor and Mom will show up at prison to talk to their son. But yeah, I absolutely think that this is going to turn into Shoto keeping Dabi alive while Dabi is getting angrier and hotter. It just seems kind of perfectly set up for that, because that's clearly what Shoto has said. He's like, I don't want to kill my brother. I would love to someday have a cup of noodles with him. And maybe Shoto, Mom, and Dad will go have a cup of noodles with Dabi in prison. That almost seems like too too nice of an ending. I would love it to be a little bit more complicated than that, but let's hope it gets more exciting than that.
Yeah.
But
So I have some. Unless you guys are done, I have some grievances to
Go.
drop down.
Yeah, go for it.
So the first one, it's kind of my own fault because I went as soon as like the fan translations come out, I jump on it. And luckily the translator who did did the translation gives one of those translator notes, which aids my whole reading.
Oh yeah.
But there was basically, I see that Shonen Jump kind of ruined like an incredible moment, like based on their translation. So, like, one massive thing for me and has been that, of course, Dabi hates Endeavor for what he did, but at the same time, there's always been the thing about how Shoto did replace him, and it was because he had that half hot, half cold. It was the whole thing that Endeavor's been going for. He wanted to sire a son or a daughter who could possess both like the hot and cold quirks to control the raging flame that is Hell Flame, and Endeavor was originally focusing on Toya, on Dabi, because he had pretty much given up on that fact. But then Shoto comes along with his his perfect half cold, half hot, and he gets cast aside because of it. And I've always wanted Dabi to confront that. Like, even though he hates his father, there has to be a piece of him that also hates Shoto more than he's been saying. And it's one of the things that he says. And the way they translate it, I'm looking at it right now in the fan translation. You're Endeavor's son, my brother. You're a worthless mix of ice and fire. And so then the translator note comes in and says, Toya calls Shoto a broth of despair in the original. In Japanese, the word for broth is made up of the boil kanji and the freeze kanji, owning to the fact that ramen broth is prepared by boiling the meat first and then letting it chill for a day in the refrigerator.
Oh.
And this is actually like, so it's like giving like, if that reading is correct, it's basically like shooting down or speaking derogatorily about his ice powers, which makes a lot of sense because, when Endeavor began ignoring him for Shoto, Toya didn't give up. Like, that was the reason why he pretty much died, was that he wanted to prove that he could surpass Hellflame and survive, and that's what burns him up. So like, it's kind of like showing that he never accepted or believed that his father was right in choosing Shoto, like, because he felt that his fire was better than both his half hot, half cold. So I just always wanted that to hear his thoughts on that, and it seemed like it was in here. But then in the official translation, he just says, "Son of Endeavor, brother of Dabi, calamity incarnate, concentrated down into a boy-sized package." It's like, what? That has nothing about what. Like, how did you get there? Like, it just, like, it makes so much sense that if he would talk about about heat and cold, like it should be a big thing with him, and it's like, oh, what are you doing, Shonen Jump?
So in the English one, I see there's on the next page after that, he says half baked, which kind of gets the idea of cooking and cold across. But you're right, that's a very difficult thing to translate.
Yeah, it's just like one of those things where it's like, because I mean, like, and we're kind of getting it now, but like, I'm under the impression, and it's kind of obvious in a way, that like Dabi isn't thinking straight, and he might like, and that's why I wanted them to have this conversation before now in this fight. Like, I'm just getting these flashbacks again. Like, the way he's acting now doesn't make sense based on how they've interacted before in the past. Like, for me, at least for me, to feel more invested in this fight, we needed to have more of Dabi's hatred towards his brother. Like, like when they first began fighting here, it just felt like, oh, it's something I have to do because you're here and you're not fighting Endeavor. So it kind of felt like, okay, I guess I'll fight you. But now they're delving into these things, like even though he's yelling it, it's like this is what we needed before, and it's just it makes me upset that I don't know. It just I feel like
I
that it
agree.
could have been much better.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, it's a lot of the things I've said about Shoto's character too. Is we just had so many arcs where he just didn't have any character development. He barely did anything, and I just feel like they could have at least put the seeds for this sort of thing in, somewhere between the season 2 of the anime and now of where the story takes place. We could have gotten a moment, at least something to benefit from it, other than it all happening here right now.
I mean, because I mean, I do love I love this image of Dabi losing himself and getting enraged. So like we can't really take we can't really trust what he's saying. Really, I really like that, but it's like I wanted that. I guess part of like me too. Like I like fighting manga, but I like fighting manga when they're not fighting, which is like a little odd because I like those conversations more because like usually it's lost in the fight. But I'm digressing.
Yeah, I find that interesting. You've said your favorite bits of this series are the times when they're sitting at dinner tables and there's the awkwardness and the characters kind of forcing character development without fists.
Yeah, which is weird. Like I need the fighting to get me captivated, but like what I care about more is the talking, which is weird. I don't know. That's just me.
No, I feel the same way.
That's why Dan to Dan is so awesome. Sorry.
Yeah, no, Dan to Dan is great, especially in that regard. And its fights are also beautiful. I don't want to go on a tangent, but read Dan to Dan. It is great. But yeah, I do feel like My Hero suffers from that a lot. Especially with its side characters. Like I feel like Shoto has largely just been like Shoto's storyline has mainly just been Endeavor's storyline.
Yes.
To a large degree.
Yeah.
And Endeavor is a very compelling character, and so like it hasn't been that much of a flaw in the series, I think, until you get to a point like this where for logistical reasons, Endeavor has to be off fighting All for One and Shoto has to be here fighting Dabi. But so much development's been put into Endeavor and not Shoto. So it just feels sort of shallow.
Yeah, it feels incredibly shallow. And it's one of those things where I almost wonder if it's because of popularity polls. I've noticed this with like other series like One Piece also, where the popularity polls come out and then you see like characters that haven't been featured or not even a major part of the story are like so popular, because I would imagine a lot of people, most people are not 100% caught up on the series. They are catching up and just becoming a fan. So it's one of those things for especially anime only watchers. They haven't really gotten a lot of like Endeavor story yet. Like so far, he's just kind of the angry dude who wants to surpass All Might. And in the current seasons of the anime, there's finally starting to get into Endeavor's issues and stuff like that. But it's always like, oh hey, here's the new My Hero Academia movie. Look, it's Shoto. He's got a cool new costume, and I'm like, Shoto's like the least interesting character of Deku and Bakugo, but yet they keep on throwing him in all the promotional art and stuff, because I think a lot of people like Shoto so much because they've only watched the first couple seasons of the show.
Yeah, he got his character arc in very early, so everybody automatically thinks about the sports festival, and that whole thing, and they're like, yeah, I like him, but he hasn't done a whole lot since then, unfortunately.
Yeah, I really think it's just he got over the flame side of him too much. Like what made him so amazing for me, and I guess it must be the same for everyone, is that he rejecting his father's flame and him suffering because of it, and it basically stalled his progression of becoming a hero. So it was like his hatred was sabotaging him, but it was just being, it was being depicted in this use of fire and cold, which was incredible. But then once he accepted that heat side, that's when it just was like, okay, then why are we what's the point of his story now?
You know, a good way to bring that back around would be to have him talk about how he came to accept that part of himself during this fight.
Oh yeah, I absolutely think that's oh man, great point, Carlyle. I think that might be how he starts getting to Dabi, because they kind of had the same, they have the same problem. Like they know, and well, actually, now that I think about it, he even says that at the end of this chapter. Like he's just like, I may be your little brother, but yeah, Dad was wrong. Our family sucks. Like he gets real with him, and I almost think that it's kind of the seal starting to break for Shoto. I think he's especially. We'll go ahead and use this opportunity to jump into what we hope will happen next. But I'm hoping that Shoto kind of starts to impart what helped him change, and I don't know if he'll specifically bring up Deku, but he'll at least bring up the lessons that Deku helped him realize. And because, you know, as most shonens are, it's not just a fight, it's a fight of wills, and they have to kind of convince the other person that, hey, you've been thinking the wrong way this whole time. Because unlike in the real world, people's minds change in shonen. And so yeah, I'm kind of hoping that, you know, as this was a very action-packed chapter, I'm thinking Dabi's gonna get up after this. Oh man, it would suck if they jumped to another fight immediately after this, because I'm really hoping that they finish this whole encounter and then we move on to the next thing. But yeah, I'm really hoping to get more out of Shoto, dialogue wise, because Dabi kind of let it all out. His you know, his flashback we went over in the last couple chapters, and then this was him finally saying like, yeah, I've got some thoughts on you too, bro. And obviously the fan translations did a better job than the official translations on that, unfortunately. But
I don't know what, that was just a mess up.
Yeah. But yeah, at the end of this chapter, we kind of get Shoto starting to break that seal and starting to talk, and that's something I've always kind of wanted, is Shoto to you know, to kind of let his feelings out a little bit more. And I'm hoping that floodgate opens next chapter.
You were going to say something, Ben?
I was just going to say, well, that's why we need translator notes. I don't know why the English version of Shonen Jump is so averse to putting just.
I think a lot of them think that having to put in a translator note is unprofessional, and so if you can't get the idea across with a proper translation, then you've kind of failed as a translator. So they do try to avoid translator notes whenever possible. But I mean, I certainly don't have a problem with them.
No, I think it adds a lot of insight.
The Japanese language, it's so expressive and metaphorical. It's like it's a lyrical language, and it's a lot of that is lost in translation. It's
and I think that's the key. There is they've probably had enough, because I mean they're making these for Japanese readers, and
right.
Yeah. So I mean, we enjoy the side notes because it informs us, but I could see a lot of Japanese readers being like, duh.
Well, I don't think that I mean, they're making the English translation for English readers. Right?
Yeah, the translator notes would only be in the English version, but I think
Oh well,
it's
yeah,
like
that's a good
point. It's like with Ouran Host Club. It's a completely different show and manga, but like that entire series is just based on like common idioms from Japan and puns and things like that. And without those editors' notes, like that's in the anime at least. I never read the manga of Ouran Host Club, but it would just be completely impossible to understand what is happening or why this is funny.
Okay, well, that makes sense.
And I'm in the camp that like I really don't think translator notes are a mark against the translator. Like I understand why translators might feel that way, but I mean, if the goal of translation is all to, you know, give the best experience possible for the reader, I feel like they should just put them in places where you reasonably can't carry over the full meaning.
And also it actually makes them look smarter too, because like you have to know these things. Like the translator, I just said, like they had to explain like how cooking is done that way, like how boiling meat is done and why the kanji is important. It's like it makes him come across like if you can explain that, it shows that you are very knowledgeable.
Oh,
And I'm
absolutely.
sure you've seen like a lot of the characters have names that have puns in them that are built into the kanji like that.
Right.
Just, we don't even get that at all.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of things, especially like I remember one of the first times that really stood out for me was the beginning of Naruto when Sasuke, or when they first step out of the village and then Sasuke calls Naruto a scaredy cat. There's a few translations of that like don't get that point across at all. So it was just like, oh, that's weird. But then when you see that, you're like, oh man, that makes so much sense. And they call back to that moment throughout the series so many times. So it's really important to have those notes sometimes. But I know some of you guys are kind of limited on time this time, so I think we'll go ahead and go into what do you guys hope will happen next? Steven, you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I liked what you guys were talking about, where Shoto will open up to Dabi and kind of like explaining that I also see his Endeavor as a crappy father, or our family is crappy, but I want to give it that more darker twist where it would, but it would never happen. But it would be cool where that type of conversation is instead like Dabi is relating that. Shoto is relating that to a defeated Dabi, like he's on the ground and defeated or something, and Shoto says something like, you were wrong, blah 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 blah. Like that, it would be much more rather than trying to get to him and change him. It'd be kind of like as a more like a in your face type of thing.
Yeah. Not like a cool one-liner while he walks away without looking.
Yeah, yeah, something like. But that would never happen.
No, ice sunglasses for him. How about you, Carl? What would you like to see happen next?
Yeah, I definitely hope that we stay with this and wrap this up before we move on. That's definitely been. I think you can look back at the previous recordings and see that that's been our big fear. So we're just going to jump away from this.
Absolutely.
So it will be interesting to see how Dabi fares from this particular attack and what we're going to talk about, because there's a lot more left to say still.
Yeah, he's still angry. We need to get this angry boy chilled out. How about you, Ben?
Yeah, I think for me, I still want to stay with this fight, but I don't want it to last more than like 1 or 1.5 chapters longer, because I think there still is a lot to say, but I think a lot of what Dabi has to say is to Endeavor, and so it's like I think there's only so much further that the Dabi Shoto fight and sort of hashing things out can go.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't want them to drag that out too long. I still want to know what's going on between Ochako and Toga and Froppy, because we cut away from that fight. Also, what's going on with Shigaraki? Like, there are other fights that are going on that are exciting as well. So
yeah, I'm almost wondering like how crazy would it be if One for All shows up, All for One shows up here. So it's just because the only people that are fighting One for All are Endeavor, Hawks, and do we have any of the other like major character students there?
I don't think any students.
Well, they have the there's some people who are like there doing support stuff, but I don't know that there's anybody else like big name who's actually fighting.
Yeah, I think I've said in previous episodes, but I really like the idea. Some other series have done this really well, where you make a big bad even more intimidating by having them, win a fight that you didn't think that they would win, and then not showing it also. I mean, as much as I would love to see Endeavor fight, I kind of feel like we've already seen him fight to his max against the Nomu.
Yeah.
So unless he has learned new techniques or something like that, I'm not sure. Boy, that's leaving even more. The more I think about it, I mean, we saw both Hawks and Endeavor go all out against that Nomu. So we've kind of seen them, put their all into a fight. So there's not really that suspense anymore to see them fight to their maximum because we've already been there. So it is kind of already set up. Like if One for All shows up at another battlefield and he's just like, oh yeah, I knocked all those guys out, or they're all taken care of, then you're like, holy crap! All right, well I guess we're not getting the Endeavor thing with Dabi and all that, and it would just make it would be a bad time for especially everyone at this battlefield, because there's not a whole lot of capable fighters, honestly. I mean, Shoto's kind of the only one that they've really shown his full abilities for, and we know that he's a competent fighter. But yeah, I guess that's another theory I'm throwing in my hat. Is if One for All shows up here, I'd have to relook at the map and see which one he's closest to. But I personally am very excited to see One for All fight more. Especially because he just still has such a huge arsenal of quirks and stuff like that. I'm very excited to see him fight some more. But yeah, anything else about this chapter you guys wanted to get off your chest before we go into plugs?
I think we're good.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, this has been fun. This is an episode of Mega Manga Monday. I'm Jason Hahn. We've got plenty of other episodes of other series. We like to talk about One Piece, Jujutsu Kaisen, Dragon Ball Super, Boruto. Gotten a couple guys who said they're interested in possibly talking about other series like JoJo and that kind of stuff. So let us know in comments and follow us on Twitter, any thoughts that you had and that kind of thing, and let us know what other stuff you'd like to have us listen to. But Carlyle, you got anything you want to plug, bud?
Yeah, the second demo of Elven Revenue Service will be out this weekend. I plan on dropping it on the 1st, so
Awesome.
you can check out our new tavern simulation aspect that we've added to the game, and hopefully they'll please some people who ask for more of the business side of things, and subscribe to the newsletter, and that'll be going out. And I've got some great new art of everybody's favorite lawyer to share.
All right, very cool. Definitely check out Elven Revenue Service. This is the second demo?
Yes.
All right, and I know you've previously talked about getting a Kickstarter going. Are you guys still planning on doing that sometime?
Yep. I think that the main issue, I had wanted to do it on April 15th for pun tax reasons, but that didn't work out. And also April 15th wasn't even tax day this year anyway. So I just had to, I need a couple more months to prepare. So hopefully over the summer.
All right. Well, we'll keep you guys updated on that. Definitely check them out on Twitter for any updates on that. Steven, any recommendations or plugs?
No, I mean, just, besides the manga, a big thing for me, at least for fans of Sonic, that the fans came together and they have created the long-awaited third season of the Saturday morning cartoon Sonic the Hedgehog series, which actually launched the Archie Comics series. It was incredible. I had no idea about it, but someone emailed me who reads the Sonic stuff. He's like, "Hey, you should check this out." And I'm like, "Oh my God, is this really happening?"
You're my hero.
Are you telling me that somebody had something positive to say to you in an email about your article?
Yeah, I know. But yeah, no, so it was. It was mind blowing. It's the trailers, everything we wanted. They got the same singer who did the original theme song from the '90s show. They got him. It sounds like from the two people that speak, Princess Sally and Snively, which is Dr. Robotnik's nephew. They sound exactly the same. Oh my God, man. If you're a Sonic Saturday morning cartoon fan, this is a beautiful, beautiful time. It is incredible.
If you like Sonic and cheese, that's right up your alley.
It's awesome.
All right, cool. Well, what's that called again, other than just Sonic the cartoon?
Oh, they're calling it it's by Team Season, and Season has a 3 in it for the second S, so Team Season is what's doing it. And they're just it's season 3 of the Sonic the Hedgehog Saturday morning cartoon, Sat AM Sonic. So,
Very cool. Well, if that sounds cool, check that out. I'm sure it's going to be awesome. I did see the trailer for it, and it it's awesome. It looks exactly like a '90s cartoon, and that's one of those projects that I wish that there was more of, that kind of thing. People using kind of retro art styles to, just like, hey, we're just continuing this. We're not rebooting it. It's just, we're making more. So I think that's pretty cool. Check that out. Ben, anything you want to recommend or plug, bud?
Yeah, nothing to plug, but I did start watching Ranking of Kings, which is
Ooh,
an
I've
anime.
I've heard good things about that.
It is incredible. It's quickly becoming one of my favorite series out there. It's just superb. It does have a bit of a non-standard art style that makes it like look a bit childish maybe at first glance.
He
Do
reminds
not
me
be
of Steven
fooled.
Universe.
Yeah, that the art style does look definitely a lot like that. Um, but don't be fooled. It is very, very good. It's basically the opposite of a fairy tale, kind of, in that
Yeah.
like every character has more depth than they initially seems that they have.
Wait, what's
Uh,
this? What's this? I wasn't paying
it's
attention.
called Ranking of Kings.
Ranking of
Uh,
Kings. The way you're explaining it sounds amazing. So it's like, wait,
yeah,
what?
Is that the
it's
one
it.
about a young like prince who can't
Yep.
see
Yep.
or hear? Yeah, one of my good buddies told me about that, and he's just like, yeah, at first it seems like, okay, this is normal, and then it had like something almost Attack on Titan style brutality, like something just crazy happens, and you're just like, I can't believe they did that. Like
I won't say Attack on Titan level of like
traumatic.
what's going on, but like I will say it's just every character in the story is multifaceted.
Cool,
Like
cool.
the plot just goes along at a very good speed, very good pace, not too fast, not too slow. The animation style is incredible once you get used to it. And it has some of the best fight scenes of the past year, I'd say.
Woohoo.
Um,
Whoa, you are really selling this kid.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
no, I might be overhyping it, but like I've like binged half the series in like
I
a couple days. So.
I had only watched like the first 3 episodes of that, but it was good.
Oh,
Oh,
very cool. Well, yeah, I'm gonna check that out. Me and the wife just started watching Spy Family, also,
oh,
and that is
that's
that
good.
is just lovely so far.
Oh.
It's a relaxing break from life sometimes. But yeah, check those things out. Also, check out Screen Rant for all of your video games, comics, and movie news. We're all writers there, and we all write some good stuff, so definitely check it out. But that'll wrap up this episode of Mega Manga Mondays. I am Jason Hahn, and had a lot of fun talking My Hero Academia 351 with you guys.
Likewise.
All right, well, we're all mangas are on break next week. This is coming out.
Except Dan.
Oh, except Dandadan.
Oh,
Nice.
Dan's still coming?
Yeah, still coming out tomorrow. Yeah.
Oh
Oh,
man,
well,
Nice.
On Monday.
those guys all need a break. They deserve it. But awesome. Well, yeah, definitely look forward to more podcasts, and you guys have a good day.